how do you get a company from not being those things to being those things? You know, how do you go in, how do you work with companies? How do you integrate programs to try to foster this change? Because we all know change is the most difficult thing.
You know, the first thing that we do is we talk to them about culture and the impact of culture and what culture is, and try to help them evaluate what type of culture they have. And this is really an employee market right now. It's hard to find employees and it's hard to keep employees. College graduates tend to have 3 jobs the first 5 years out of school. And so if it's not a really, really positive, warm culture, they're not going to attract and keep people. So that kind of gets their attention. And then we have to determine how serious they are at doing some training that really benefits everyone in the organization. And so our program, we have the 6 concepts that we've identified that really promote greater happiness and civility. And the 2 are related. If we're happier, we're more civil. And if we're more civil, we have better relationships, so we're happier. And so if they're interested in doing that, then, we have a variety of options. We have the 2-day seminars that we can teach. We have a program where we can teach half a day each week for 6 weeks. We can teach, have them read and go through all of our video material and gather each week for lunch for kind of brown bag discussions. So there's a lot of ways to introduce these 6 concepts in the organization. But, that's what the new book is about, the 6 factors that have been shown over time, over our history and through modern science to really have immediate impact on happiness and civility in real time. So if you do them today, you're going to be happier today. And if you do them over a longer period of time, they're going to become more part of you, our character. So that's pretty much what we're promoting.
Remind us again of the six factors.
So the first one we call give up the ego. And, ego's been defined as someone that's really proud and cocky and thinks they're better than everyone else. But traditionally throughout religious history and philosophy, ego has been defined as the composite of all your self-perceptions. So we're really looking at limiting self-perceptions. What perceptions do you have of yourself? Where did they come from? And they tend to develop earlier in our lives from feedback from parents and teachers and friends and even the media, and they set bounds and limitations on what we do. So we look at, how do you feel about yourself and how can we develop more positive perceptions that actually will improve your life and your career? The next one is we call refrain from judging. And what we teach is that we develop biases of other people the same way we develop perceptions of ourselves. They're not always accurate. They're often incomplete. Sometimes they're dead wrong. And so it's an attempt to get people to look at their biases and try to shed those and improve their relationships with other groups that maybe are not like them. The third one is probably one of the biggest factors on daily happiness. We call it do good deeds daily, or, make a difference today. And it's just random acts of kindness in the organization, sharing time, sharing thoughts, sharing resources, sharing some help and compassion with someone that's struggling. The fourth one is forgiveness. And there's a tremendous amount of research that holding on to anger and grudges does a tremendous amount of damage to us personally. It's like drinking poison and waiting for the other guy to die who we're mad at. And there's one study, a professor at the University of Wisconsin who's done over 100 studies on forgiveness. And, Buddha, we looked at some of the religious texts and Buddha had a great analogy. He said there's 3 types of people in the world regarding forgiveness. There's the person who's like a line etched in stone. That line lasts for a long, long time. Then there's the person who's like a line etched in the dirt. And that line stays there, but eventually it dissipates. And then there's the happiest person who's like a line etched in water. The line quickly dissipates. And you realize that, hey, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. You're not perfect. You make mistakes. We can both be different people tomorrow. So why would we hold on to anger for things that, maybe you did to me yesterday? And it helps us personally to increase our happiness and improve our relationships. And it makes organizations more civil. The fifth one is we call sharing our resources. And this is really about, clinging to material possessions is part of our identity. That fabricated false ego we carry around with us, it's fueled by possessions. We tend to think we are what we own. And again, there's a whole body of research that people that are more generous are more happy and they're more civil. And if they're more civil, it impacts our happiness. So generously sharing, our time and our talents and our possessions. My wife and I remodeled our home recently, and we had to move out all of our possessions, our clothes from our closets and our appliances from our kitchen and our furniture. And when the home was done, we looked at all the stuff in storage and said, do we really want to bring all this back into the house? And I literally gave away probably 80% of my clothes and my suits and some of the things we own. We gave away some things that we really valued, but we hadn't used them for a year. And I can't tell you the joy of having a minimalist home with less stuff and the joy of just sharing what we had. And so in the workplace, there's many opportunities to share and be generous. And then the sixth one is really caring for our communities. And we find that organizations that have a social component, they get their employees involved in doing good in the community for the constituency that they serve as a business and getting involved in all kinds of projects makes a huge difference. We've worked with a company in Idaho that, it's a seasonal company. They make padding for ski resorts for the towers and for the seats. And so they're kind of seasonal. And during the off season, they pay their employees full time, 40 hours a week to work 20 hours a week for the company and 20 hours a week in the community, painting houses and cleaning up yards, tutoring kids. And it just is, I think in the future, companies don't have a social component that aren't adding more value than making money might really struggle. It's something that we're all attracted to. The company has to be a great company. It has to have great products, a great business model, great strategy. But if it then adds some kind of a service component to the community, it aids all the outcomes, retention, recruiting, performance satisfaction. So anyway, those are the 6 concepts that we introduced in my new book. And we have a training program for the public. We have university courses. We're just rolling out a corporate training program now.